I never meant to snoop. But at 3:17 a.m., my phone lit up with a notification from the cloud chat I'd forgotten Elaine kept on. A message preview appeared: tonight, alone, can't wait to see you. My thumb froze mid-scroll. That single line cracked something wide open. Why was Elaine sending that to Martin, a colleague I barely knew? And why did my heart pound as if I'd just walked into war? I shut the app. Sat in silence. The house was unnaturally still for 3 a.m. Memories flickered, 28 years of us, 2 kids grown, her steady career in wellness, our quiet routines. I tried to breathe. That message could be innocent. Maybe misread. But in that moment I realized I had no idea who she might be now. Flashback. We met in our early 30s, back when I ran a local maintenance business and she was a community health organizer. We built this life with grit, late nights balancing bills, raising kids, caring for my aging mother. Elaine was always the planner, budgets, schedules, church groups. I trusted her instincts. In quieter years, we drifted into comfort. Weeknight dinners, weekend errands. I thought comfortable meant safe. But comfort leaves space for something else: silence, secrets. Lately, I sensed something slipping. Conversations shorter. Her phone locked more. Trips to the office claimed as late catch UPS. I brushed it off: menopause shifts, stress, burnout. I told myself she needed space. But tonight, that message startled me awake. I went to bed at 11, she said she'd finish work. I assumed she'd be home by midnight. I drifted in and out, waiting. When I peeked at her side of the bed, cold, empty, I felt an ache I hadn't felt in years. Then the chat alert came. Pattern interrupts: had she stayed over elsewhere? Did she even love me now? I stared at the screen, paralyzed. Should I open the message now or wait? Should I ask, or spy? Either way, trust was eroding with every second. I took a breath, locked down my phone, and left her sleeping side blank. Morning would demand a decision. But already I sensed, this was the end of innocence. At 3:41 a.m., the front door clicked open. I lay still. The hallway floor creaked in that familiar way near the vent. Keys whispered against the entry table. A soft thud, her shoes. The shower ran for exactly 6 minutes. She slid into bed with that trying not to wake you carefulness that only happens when someone knows they're late. Her breathing steadied fast. Mine never did. Morning came gray and slow. I made coffee because that's what I do. Filters, scoop, water line just shy of full. The kitchen smelled like burnt caramel and quiet resentment. Elaine shuffled in wearing a zip-up and those black leggings she called errand armor. "You're up early." "So are you," I said. She glanced at the clock. "Had to help with an employee crisis." "A wellness thing." "Night shift panic." I volunteered. She said it like I was supposed to be proud. "Everything okay now?" "Handled," she said, crisp and thin. "Don't look at me like that." "Like what?" "Like I knew the truth and couldn't prove it?" I handed her a mug. She didn't meet my eyes, just stared past me into the backyard, where the frost was trying to let go of the grass. "I've got a long morning," she added, already moving. Back-to-backs at the office. Our kids texted in the family thread. One sent a selfie with a cardboard box tower in a new apartment. The other asked if we still had the good ladder. Elaine typed a quick heart and vanished down the hall with her phone. I stood there until the coffee went lukewarm. Then something tiny changed everything. On the den shelf sat the old family tablet. We'd used it for recipes before every recipe moved to little videos. It was face down, which is not how we leave it. When I picked it up, the screen lit with a faint glow. Cloud chat syncing. Of course. We'd set that up years ago to keep calendars aligned. I didn't dig. I just watched the notifications dance, half sentences sliding across the top. Can't stop thinking about last time? Tonight? Parking by the, and it cut off. My chest worked like a stuck car engine. I set the tablet down and took a walk around the block because I didn't trust my hands. The air had that late fall bite. The neighborhood was quiet. A woman in a pink fleece waved from her porch, and I waved back on autopilot. I counted my steps like a stubborn metronome and talked myself down, and maybe it's nothing. Maybe Martin is short for Martina and they are planning a conference. Maybe I'm a fool and this is a misunderstanding. But fools don't wake up to 3 a.m. secrets and face down tablets. Back inside, I tried sensible. You were out late, I said when Elaine passed through the kitchen again. Her chin lifted. Yes. Crisis, like I said. That late? It happens. To you? I'm good at my job, Graham. She said it cleanly. Practiced. Like she was putting a lid on a jar. Don't turn this into something. I let it drop, for now, because she had her shield up and because I wanted the truth more than I wanted a fight. Over the next week, a pattern unfolded like a slow-motion diagram. Her yoga nights doubled. The gym bag lived by the door. An unfamiliar cologne clung to the driver's seat belt, woodsy, not mine. She started humming again, but to a melody I didn't recognize. I made excuses for her because that's what you do when you've shared nearly 3 decades and a mortgage and 1,000 inside jokes. I told myself she deserved novelty. I told myself marriage had seasons and maybe this was turbulence. I told myself not to turn into a guard dog. But curiosity is a patient thief. It waits. It steals little things first. Then the big thing. 2 Fridays later, I was in the garage finishing a shelf repair when the tablet chimed again. I didn't touch it. I just watched for the preview. Room 214 again? Can't stay long, husband will notice. You taste like mint? I set the drill down too hard. The bit pinged across concrete. My ears rang. My mind did a split, a half wanted to smash the tablet, and half wanted to catalog every syllable. I didn't smash it. I wrote down the time. I wrote down the words as best as a preview would allow. I wrote 214 with a question mark so big it circled the number like barbed wire. That evening, I caught my reflection in the patio door. I looked tired and older and too calm, which scared me. Calm means a plan is coming. Elaine breezed in at 9 with takeout and a breezy smile that didn't reach her eyes. You ate? Yeah, I said. Not hungry. She set the bag down. Her hand shook only once, a tremor small enough to deny if I asked about it. You okay? I will be. She moved closer, searching my face like it was a map she'd lost. You sound far away. I swallowed. Are you? We are both busy, she said, dodging. We should schedule an actual date night. Remember those? I remember. Okay then. She nodded too quickly. I'll check my calendar. And that's when I understood what I hated most. Not the betrayal, though that was acid. Not the lies, though they were splinters under every fingernail. It was the scheduling. The way she slotted me between her secret life and her public one. The way I'd become a recurring appointment she could snooze. I went for a drive to clear my head. I didn't go anywhere important. I rolled past a strip of roadside motels that have been there forever, all flashing vacancy in red letters that lost a few bulbs to history. Room 214 isn't a landmark. It's a slot in a grid. It could be any of them. I didn't follow her. Not yet. I needed to know, and I needed to know cleanly. No shouting in parking lots. No scenes. Proof, then words. That was the order I could live with. The next day, the house smelled like laundry detergent and lemon cleaner. Elaine was on the phone in the hallway, voice low, careful. I can't talk. He's here. A pause. A soft, almost affectionate sound. Not for me. When she saw me, she smiled bright, too bright. Thinking of rearranging the office. Want to help me move the desk later? Sure. We moved the desk. We didn't talk. Dust bunnies the size of small towns scurried out from the wall. We pretended to be a team because muscle memory is strong. That night, I opened a fresh notebook and wrote a list like a man preparing a small, tidy war. Don't accuse without proof. Don't let her rewrite the story. Don't become what you hate. Don't lose yourself. Then I did something I never imagined doing. I told her I had an overnight out-of-town job on Tuesday. A last-minute safety check at a property I used to service. Plausible, because I still get those calls sometimes. Plausible, because I've always been the guy who shows up with a toolbox and a headlamp and makes things steady again. Her eyes flickered. Just for a heartbeat. Tuesday? Back by noon Wednesday, I said. She shifted her weight. Wednesday morning's tricky for me. Then it's perfect, I said, too evenly. There it was, the smallest smile. She caught it, killed it, looked down at her hands. Be safe. That night I lay awake and replayed 28 summers and 28 winters, and that afternoon we painted the kids' rooms and laughed when we dripped paint on the dog. Polarity flip, I missed her. Not the woman in my house. The one I married. The one who'd slide her cold feet under my calves on winter nights and say, "Don't tell me you don't like it." Forgiveness hovered like fog over a river. You can walk into it, but you can't live there. Not without a compass. Sunday afternoon, she baked. The kitchen was warm. Cinnamon. Apples. She brushed a strand of hair behind her ear and nearly looked like the woman from our wedding album. We could invite the kids over next weekend, she said. Good idea. She chewed her lip. Graham, we are okay, right? Are we? She blinked. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. You not, I said. You walking on a bridge. And I'm watching to see if it holds. Her jaw clenched. What's that supposed to mean? Exactly what it sounds like. We let silence sit at the table with us. It ate more pie than we did. Monday offered a kind of mercy disguised as routine. Work calls. Oil change. Groceries. Every normal thing stacked itself like sandbags around my chest. Maybe real life could hold back the flood. Maybe. Then the tablet chimed in the den again while I was putting away a socket wrench. I didn't pick it up. I just read the preview because by now the previews were the thing that told the whole story without pretending otherwise. Tuesday works. 7:30, same place. I wrote down the time. I wrote down the words. My hand didn't shake. I started to prepare, not like a detective, not like a jealous husband, but like a man who refuses to be gaslit by the life he built. I took photos of nothing, just the living room at 4 p.m., the kitchen clock, the exterior of the house, so I'd know what normal looked like. I copied the previews into my notebook. I didn't install anything or hack anything. I stayed on the clean side of the line. But the line was bright now. It hummed. Tuesday morning, Elaine wore a slate sweater and those small silver hoops she always saved for nice days. She kissed my cheek. It was light, polite, a social kiss you give a neighbor at a block party. Drive careful. I always do. She left for work, and I sat at the kitchen table and waited for the little green dot on our shared calendar to move. That old family system had one quiet gift: I could see appointments she wanted me to see, yoga tonight at 6, planning session at 8:30. It didn't show everything, but it showed enough to tell me she was rewriting her alibi. 2 hours before yoga, I told her I was hitting the road. "Text me when you get there," she said, tying her hair back, pretending not to study my face. "I will." I loaded a duffel bag into the truck. It had a change of clothes and a tape measure and a thermos and nothing else. I drove down the street, turned the corner, and parked behind the old municipal ballfields where the lights haven't worked since summer. The sun slid down the sky like a coin into a slot. My phone buzzed. From Elaine. "Made it okay?" I typed, "Yep. Long drive. Tired already." A lie that tasted like pennies. The minutes stretched. Streetlights blinked awake. Families tucked themselves into living rooms. The wind did that thing where it makes every flag look colder. Then, across the lot, I saw her car glide past the entrance to the motel row. Not a pause. Not a slow roll. She turned in like she'd turned in before. I didn't follow. Not yet. I watched the moon climb over the hardware store sign. I let 15 minutes pass because I wanted my pulse to return to human. Then another text came through. Not to me. The old tablet back home, still syncing, pushed a preview to my lock screen because I hadn't disabled anything. It was like the universe kept nudging my elbow. Rooms open. Doors cracked. I closed my eyes. Counted to 10. To 20. To 30. I could go now. I could catch them. I could blow it up in the worst, most cinematic way possible. And a part of me wanted that. But a bigger part wanted something else, to hold the thread of truth in my own hand. To decide the ending in my own voice. To walk in with dignity and walk out the same. I put the truck in gear. Then I stopped. I realized I'd forgotten one thing. The thing that would decide not just tonight but the next 20 years of my life. I pulled out my phone and typed a text that would make or break the bridge I'd been testing. To Elaine, a change of plans. Work cancelled. Heading back. See you in 20. I hit send. Then I waited to see what she would do when the script flipped. Her reply came fast. Too fast. No, don't. Roads are bad. Stay put. The roads were dry. I turned the key all the way. The engine caught. Whatever mask she'd planned to wear just cracked, and I was done pretending I couldn't hear it. I headed toward the motel row, the little red vacancy signs blinking like heartbeats. And this time, I didn't plan to park in the shadows. The motel row looked exactly like the memory of a bad decision. Red vacancy signs buzzed. A soda machine hummed like it had a sore throat. Damp air carried the smell of cheap disinfectant and old carpet. I didn't hide. I pulled into the main lot, 3 spaces from the office, under a flickering floodlight. If anyone asked, I wanted a timestamp and a witness who'd remember my face, not my shadow. Inside the office, a bell chimed. The clerk barely looked up. I asked for a bottled water and a receipt. When she slid it over, I checked the time, 7:41 p.m., and tucked it into my wallet behind our wedding photo. Proof, then words. I kept repeating that to myself like a prayer I believed in, or wanted to. Back outside, I walked the breezeway slowly. Room numbers climbed like a count I didn't want to finish. 208, 210, 212. The air felt warmer near the second-floor walkway, like breath had been trapped there. At the top of the stairs, 214 sat under a dim bulb, its paint chipped in a half-moon where keys had missed the lock. The door was not fully closed. Maybe half an inch. Just enough for sound. I paused. My heart tried to outrun my ribs. Down the walkway, a TV droned through a wall, sports highlights, and someone laughed into a phone. In 2:14, a low voice mumbled, then a whisper, then the small intimacy of a hand on a shoulder. Not graphic. Not anything a stranger would notice. I noticed everything. I raised my phone, framed the door with the number plate, and snapped a photo. The flash was off. The click sounded loud anyway. I took another of the parking lot below, Elaine's grey hatchback, parked next to a dark sedan. 2 cars in the same row. One with a windshield shade still half fallen like a curtain. Then something tiny changed everything. My phone vibrated. A text, from Elaine. "How's the drive?" I stared. I typed slowly, each letter feeling like a plank on a bridge I wasn't sure could hold. Long turning back. Roads are clear. Be home soon. 3 dots bloomed. Vanished. Bloomed again. No, don't. Weather turned here. Stay overnight. Safer. I looked up at the calm, dry evening. The sky was unbothered. The flag by the office hung straight down. Curiosity loop, would she stall? Would she confess? Or would she rewrite history while I stood 5 feet from it? I typed, "I'll be there in 20. The door at 214 hushed air again, just barely. An outline moved across the crack, a shift of shadow more than shape. A soft giggle, not the one I knew from our kitchen but close enough to hurt. I put my back against the railing and breathed like I'd learned during a chest cold years ago. In for 4. Hold for 4. Out for 4. Don't do something you can't own tomorrow. I felt my ring, the ridge of it against my palm. I once thought it was a circle you lived inside. Tonight it felt like a line you didn't cross, even if someone else did. My phone buzzed again. Actually, I'm stuck at work. Late meeting. Don't wait up. I read it twice. The thing about lies is they sound like phrases you've already heard. Late meeting. Don't wait up. Just a friend. They wear familiar clothing on purpose. I walked down to the lot, stood beside Elaine's car, and took another photo with the motel sign in the background. I wasn't trying to build a case for court. I was trying to build a case for myself. For the part of me that would wake up tomorrow and wonder if I'd exaggerated the whole thing. When I glanced into the hatchback, I saw her gym bag in the backseat, mesh pocket holding a hairbrush, a travel-sized dry shampoo, and gum. Mint gum. If she ever asked why I'd noticed, I'd tell her because I was married to her for 28 years and that's how you survive a life, by knowing the little brands of each other's habits, even when you change the labels. I should have left then. I should have driven home, set the table with every picture and every text, and waited for her to come up with something that sounded like the truth. But I remembered the half-open door. The crack that had become a chasm. And another thought took root. If she can look me in the eye and lie tonight, it will be easier for her to lie tomorrow. And the day after. And the day after that. Lies have momentum. I went back up the stairs. At the top step, I stopped. A cleaning cart sat abandoned against the wall, its top drawer open, a stack of folded towels leaning like a question. The soda machine throbbed downstairs. Somewhere, ice clattered into a bucket. I could hear my pulse in my ears. 2 steps from 214, my phone startled me again. This time it wasn't a text. It was a call. From a number I didn't recognize. I answered without speaking. Static. Then a man, hesitant, careful. "Is this Graham?" "Yes." A breath. "You don't know me. But you probably know what I'm about to say." Silence stretched. I braced. "I saw your wife," he said, voice low. She's with a man in one of the rooms. I'm sorry. I live nearby. I've seen her car here before. Tonight I saw you pull in. I thought you should know. I closed my eyes. The world tilted 6 degrees and then righted itself. Which room? I asked, though I already knew. Pause. 214, he whispered, like saying it too loud would harm us both. Thank you, I said. The 2 words felt strange in my mouth. We hung up. I slid the phone into my pocket. You rarely get a stranger's kindness at the exact moment it matters. I filed it away as a reminder, the world isn't fair, but it isn't empty either. I stood in front of the door and did not move. Forgiveness versus self-respect. Privacy versus truth. There's a social rule that says don't embarrass people in public, even if they've earned it. But what about embarrassing yourself in private by pretending you don't see what you see? In the crack of the door, I saw a shape cross the strip of light between the curtains, Elaine's outline, unmistakable in the slope of her shoulders. Another shape behind her, broader. Low voices. A hush. The light pat of bare feet on carpet. No laughter now. The kind of close, quiet people save for closeness. I pulled my hand back from the door like it was a hot stove. I wasn't going to go inside. Not like that. Not without giving her one more line to choose. I typed, if you're at work, send me a picture of your desk. Humor me. 30 seconds. Nothing. A minute. Nothing. Then, battery's low. Can't. See you tomorrow. It would have been funny if it hadn't been tragic. A battery excuse in a world where every wall has an outlet. I scrolled to her contact and pressed call. It rang once. Twice. Inside the room, something buzzed. I heard it. A muffled vibration against a nightstand. Even the sound made me ache. It was like my name had been put in a drawer. The buzzing stopped. She didn't answer. A text arrived instead. Meeting started. Can't talk. The clock on my phone ticked to 7:58 p.m. The receipt in my wallet still said 7:41. 20 minutes from buy water to don't talk. The math did not support romance. It supported reality. I could have shouted her name. I could have called the office and asked for a room-to-room transfer, the way old movies turn phones into plot points. Another thought arrived, sharp, unwelcome, compelling. I call the front desk and ask for 214, then listen to how she answers. My finger hovered over the office number printed on the receipt. My stomach went tight, the way it did when our kids first pulled out of the driveway alone. The moment you realize you can't stop momentum, only witness it. I dialed. Front desk, the clerk said, bored. How can I help you? Yes, I said, steady. May I speak to room 214? I need to leave a message for a guest. A click. A ring. Another. Then a beep, then the line opened. A man answered. His voice was matte, professional. Hello? I didn't know Martin's voice, but this one fit like a missing piece. I didn't speak. The hush on the line crackled. Hello, he said again. I ended the call. Not because I was afraid to hear more, but because I was suddenly very aware that I was choosing every step and that choice was the only power I had left. I stared at the door. Then I did something a younger me wouldn't have thought to do. I turned on the camera, hit record, and said into the lens, clearly, quietly, my name is Graham. It's Tuesday, just before 8. I am standing outside room 214 at the Oakline Motel in Riverside Meadows. That is my wife's car in the lot. I texted her I would be home in 20. She said not to come. I can hear her phone inside this room. I will not enter. I will not cause a scene. I'm collecting proof for myself so I cannot be convinced later that I imagined tonight. I panned to the door number, then down to the parking lot, then back to my face. I wasn't crying. I wasn't yelling. I looked like a man who had stopped the slide before it sent him over. As I lowered the phone, a light on the room's window flicked off. A hush. The kind that makes your ears ring because sound has nowhere to go. For a heartbeat, I considered walking away anyway. Let her come home to the hard quiet of evidence laid out like place settings. Let dignity be the only person in the room with her. Then my phone buzzed one more time. From an unknown. Elaine, he's on to you. Get out. I stared at the screen. The number didn't match the man who'd called earlier. Different area code. Someone else knew. Someone else who thought it was theirs to manage. I thought I knew the worst. I didn't. The text made something clear. I wasn't the only one aware of this little secret. There was a web around me I hadn't seen, and it had more than 2 threads. My mind flashed through possibilities: coworker covering for her, a friend enabling, a neighbor who'd watched too much and said too little. Whoever it was had plans for me I wasn't invited to join. I reached for the door and pressed my thumb gently to the wood. It was cool and slightly sticky from too many coats of paint. The gap widened a whisper. A moral rule from the old days surfaced: don't make a scene in public. Another from the new days shoved back: don't let other people write your life. I knocked. 3 calm, deliberate taps. Not a pound. Not a plea. Silence. Then a scramble: feet, fabric, a lamp chain clicking too hard. The hush before a curtain lifts. A man's voice, low, urgent. Hold on. Elaine's voice, just above a whisper: who is it? I swallowed. My heart made my ribs creak. Elaine, I said, voice steady enough to surprise me. It's me. The chain slid. Metal scraped. The door inched open. The door inched open. Elaine stood there in a long cardigan I'd never seen, hair pinned up in a rushed twist. Her face was scrubbed clean the way it gets after a quick sink wash. Behind her, the room's lamp wore a crooked shade. A second silhouette hovered just out of view. Graham, she said, like my name was a question and a warning at the same time. Hi, I said. My voice surprised me, level, almost gentle. We're not doing riddles. We're doing facts. She gripped the edge of the door, half hiding her body. This isn't what you think. I nodded at the room number. Room 214 is exactly what people think. A man stepped into the slice of light. Button-down shirt, no tie, sleeves rolled. He had the careful posture of someone trained to speak at seminars. He looked at me like I was a live wire. I'm Martin, he said. Maybe we should. No, I said. You and I don't have a we. Step back, please. He did. Elaine's throat moved like she swallowed a stone. Can we go somewhere else to talk? We will, I said. After you choose honesty. I held up my phone. The screen glowed with our text thread, the one where she told me to stay away because the roads were bad. The weather's clear, I said. Your phone is on the nightstand. I heard it. You told me you were at work while your car sat under a red vacancy sign. She inhaled sharp. You recording me? That's invasive. I'm documenting my night so I don't let you rewrite it for me tomorrow. I kept the camera angled at my chest. We've been married 28 years. We deserve unedited truth for at least 5 minutes. Inside the room, the TV talked to itself about a game no one was watching. I could smell a mix of detergent and mint gum. Elaine had taught our kids to keep gum handy for work breath. That memory poked at me like a dull needle. She glanced back at Martin, then lowered her voice. We were just talking. In a motel, I said. With the door cracked. Elaine. Silence folded around us, soft and smothering. Okay, she whispered. It's not nothing. It's complicated. No, I said. Complicated is taxes. This is simple. How long? She pressed her lips together, then let out a sound like a tired laugh that had nowhere to go. It started after your mom passed. You shut down, Graham. You were there, but you weren't there. I felt invisible in my own house. There it was, a sympathy tugging at the same rope as anger. I was grieving, I said. So was I, she shot back, eyes suddenly bright. I was carrying it alone. She tipped her head toward the shadow. He listened. It felt like being seen. When did it stop being talking? I asked. Give me the month. Her gaze dropped to the carpet. Early spring, she said. We met up after a work function. We kissed in his car. I hated myself. Then I didn't stop. I told myself it was a phase. I told myself I deserved something. I exhaled through my teeth. The air felt thick, the way a room feels after a humidifier runs too long. How often? A few times, she said quickly. Then slower, once a week. Sometimes less. Martin cleared his throat. This isn't productive. That's the first thing you've said I agree with, I replied. Leave us. He hesitated. Elaine looked at him, something sliding across her features I didn't recognize anymore. It's okay, she murmured. Give us a minute. He disappeared into the bathroom. The faucet coughed to life like a stage cue. Elaine opened the door wider and stepped into the breezeway. The night air touched her face and she shivered. The motel light cast a tired halo around her. You can hate me, she said. I get that. But don't humiliate me. I'm not here to perform, I said. I'm here to be clear. She flinched like I'd thrown something. You don't. You weren't there, Graham. After the funeral, you sat in the garage with tools you didn't even need to fix. You went quiet on me. I begged you to talk. And you found a coworker, I said softly. Not a counselor. Not me. Him. I tried, she whispered. You wouldn't meet me halfway. Let me ask you something, I said. If I had kissed someone in a car because you were grieving, would that feel like a halfway solution? She stared at the cracked concrete. No. Then don't sell it to me as a kindness. Her jaw trembled. For a moment, I saw the woman from our wedding album, the one who wiped frosting off my lip with her thumb and laughed like we had extra time. I almost stepped toward her. Then something tiny changed everything. A folded paper peeked from her tote near the door, a printed confirmation sheet with a logo for a lakeside rental. A line item showed a weekend wellness retreat. The paid stamp glared up like it was proud of itself. I tilted my head. What's that? She followed my eyes and tucked the paper deeper. It's for a work thing. The team is doing a resilience workshop next month. On the same weekend our son asked us to help him move? I asked. And paid with our household card? Her shoulders stiffened. I'll get reimbursement. From your department run by Martin, I said. My voice didn't rise, but my hands warmed. So our joint card floats your getaway, his office pays it back, and I find out when the bill hits? That what we're doing? It's not like that, she said, but the words sounded worn out from overuse. Then my phone buzzed with a bank alert, a new charge at Oakline Inn. Lodging. Tonight. The app didn't need to tell me whose name was on the card, or which card it was. We only had 3. 2 were in my pocket. 1 lived in Elaine's wallet. I turned the screen so she could see. This is the part where I decide whether this is just betrayal or betrayal plus finances. Her eyes closed tight, then opened. I'll pay it back. You can't pay it back, I said. You can only stop adding. The bathroom door clicked. Martin reappeared, hair damp, shirt rebut-toned wrong by 1 hole. Graham, can I say something, man to man? You can say it later to your HR handbook, I said. Right now, I'm speaking with my wife. He set his jaw. You not being fair. Fair? I felt a laugh break loose, short and brittle. We are standing outside a motel room holding a receipt like a fire extinguisher, and you want fair? Elaine put a hand out like a crossing guard. Both of you. Stop. Please. I looked at her fingers, steady, the hands that held our babies and shaped our home. My chest hurt in a way that wasn't dramatic and wasn't small. It just was. Here's what's going to happen, I said. You'll drive home. I'll be 20 minutes behind you. You'll pack a bag. You will not sleep in our bed tonight. You can stay at your sister's or get a room somewhere that doesn't bill our card. Her eyes flashed. You throwing me out? I'm asking for distance so I can hear myself think. It's that or a police report for a scene you don't want me to make. She opened her mouth. Closed it. What about the kids? We'll tell them together tomorrow on a video call, I said. You'll take responsibility for your choices. I won't cover for you. You wouldn't, she whispered. Watch me, I said, not loud, not cruel. Just settled. Martin stepped forward, palms out like a talk show moderator. Let me add context. Context is what liars use to explain timing, I said. Go inside. He didn't. He looked at Elaine, seeking permission he didn't deserve. She didn't give it. Martin, she murmured. Please. He retreated, eyes firing a look I couldn't read. Pity? Contempt? Strategy? Elaine took a breath like she was walking into cold water. Graham, it started emotional. Then we met. Yes. We kissed. We stayed over 3 times. Maybe 4. You were at your lowest and I wanted to feel wanted too. It's ugly. I know. I hate who I've been. Polarity flip, I felt sorry for her. Then I remembered the text telling me not to drive on clear roads and my sympathy stiffened into a boundary. You're not my enemy, I said, because it was true. You're also not my ally right now. She nodded, quick and desperate. I'll end it. You already should have, I said. Something in her face hardened. And what about you? All those nights in the garage, pretending the world didn't need you? You think I didn't count those as abandonments? I begged you to see me. I hear you, I said. But I didn't lie to you to solve it. Her anger softened into something worse, a defeat. You're better at being decent than me. I'm just practiced at choosing later over now, I said. Right now feels good. Later pays the bill. We stood in that thin breeze while the motel sign blinked like a tired heartbeat. Somewhere far off a train horn bled through the night. Then my phone buzzed again with a text from an unknown number, the same one that had warned her, Elaine, leave now. He's going to ruin you. I lifted the screen. Who's this? She paled. I don't know. Try again. Her eyes flashed and fell. A coworker, she admitted. Admin. She thinks she's helping. By helping you lie, I said. By dragging other people into it. I didn't ask her to text, she said. Someone told her, I replied. Someone gave her my name. Someone at your office knows my business better than I do. Martin's voice came from the doorway, thin with irritation. We are adults. We can handle our own lives. Then start, I said, and the words landed between us like a dropped wrench. Elaine wrapped her cardigan tighter. Please don't tell the kids tonight. Give me a day. We'll tell them tomorrow morning, I said. 9. Family thread. Non-negotiable. Her breath stuttered. Okay. Gather your things, I added. Keys, phone, whatever you brought. Leave the motel charge on your work card or his. Not ours. It is on mine, she said, small. I looked at her for a long beat. Then this is the last time. She nodded. It looked like surrender without contact. She disappeared inside for a full minute. I stayed where I was, letting my pulse reacquaint itself with a normal beat. The clerk's TV burbled downstairs. A couple argued in a language I didn't understand near the ice machine. Life kept rolling like it didn't care. Elaine reemerged with her tote, shoes in her hand. She looked both older and younger, older from guilt, younger from the weird relief of not pretending. She started past me, then stopped, eyes on my ring. You keeping it on? She asked. For now, I said. Until truth finishes its job. She swallowed. I'm sorry, she said, the words barely audible. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I want that. I lost myself. Find yourself without me, I said softly. Then we'll see who stands where. She hurried down the stairs. Her car door opened and shut. The engine turned over. Tail lights washed the lot in red. A moment later, she was gone. I stood alone outside 214 with a buzzing vacancy sign and a bank alert still glowing on my screen. Martin opened the door wider like he wanted to say something brave or stupid. Don't, I said. He lifted his hands. This will ruin her. She made the ruin, I said. I'm just refusing to live inside it. He held my gaze for a long second. Then he closed the door. I went to the office. The clerk slid a glance at me the way people look at weather. I asked for a printed copy of my water receipt. She hit a few keys and handed me a duplicate without looking up. I tucked it beside our wedding photo again, next to a younger version of us who didn't know what a cloud chat could do to a life. Back in the truck, the seat felt colder than it should. I rested my forehead against the steering wheel and exhaled until my chest stopped shaking. Then something else tiny changed everything. My bank app pinged again. Not just the motel. Another charge, 2 weeks ago, at a different roadside place across town, same category, same late evening timestamp. I hadn't noticed it then because it sat between grocery store totals and a hardware run, looking like a gas station misscan. Tonight, it glowed like a flare. A second motel. A pattern, not a stray. I scrolled farther. A deposit into our savings, small, then a transfer out the next day, exactly the same amount, to an external account I didn't recognize. I thought we were arguing about a motel room. We were really arguing about my future. I put the truck in gear and pulled onto the road, headlights carving 2 clean lines toward home. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., we'd tell our kids. But tonight I had another call to make. I tapped the contact labeled bank, member line and waited for the chime. Thanks for calling, a recorded voice said. Please enter your PIN. I did. The line clicked. A human voice came on, warm and professional. How can I help you this evening? I need to report an authorized activity, I said, calm, exact. And I need to freeze a card. The agent started through her script. I answered every question. Dates. Times. Amounts. The world had bent. I was bending it back, one digit at a time. When I hung up, the dashboard clock read 8:29 p.m. The house lights of Riverside Meadows glowed steady, not knowing my kitchen was about to be rearranged into a war room. I turned down our street and saw something I didn't expect, and my daughter's car parked at the curb, her trunk half open, a plant sticking out like it was trying to escape. She wasn't supposed to be here. As I rolled into the driveway, my phone buzzed again. A new message on the family thread, and Mom just called me. Said you're overreacting and she needs a place to stay. What is going on? I stared at the words until they stopped swimming. I had 20 seconds to decide whether to shield them or show them. I killed the engine, stepped out into the cool night, and walked toward the front door with the bank call fresh in my ear and the family thread wide open in my hand. I reached for the knob. And I wasn't the only one on the other side. The door opened toward me. My daughter stood there with a pothose plant tucked under one arm and a box of mugs under the other. She'd grown into my height and her mother's eyes. Behind her, in our entryway, the hall lamp cast that familiar honey light across the family photos on the wall. "Dad," she said. Mom called me crying. Said you being unfair. "Come in," I said. Put the plant on the table. "We're going to do this without shouting." She stepped back and I crossed the threshold like a man entering a courtroom he built himself. The air smelled like lemon cleaner and something baked earlier, cinnamon ghosts from Sunday. My daughter set the plant down and squared her shoulders. "What happened?" she asked. "And please don't say we'll talk tomorrow." "I wanted all of us at 9, I said. "But you here. So you get the preview." She blinked, fighting between loyalty and fear. "Is Mom okay?" "She's not hurt," I said. "She's also not staying here tonight." Her mouth opened, then shut. "What does that mean?" "It means," I said, steady, "I found proof she's been seeing someone from work." I confronted her. She admitted it. We agreed she'd stay elsewhere while we figure out next steps. The plant leaf brushed the table like it had an opinion. My daughter's face moved through 5 expressions in a single heartbeat: shock, denial, anger, grief, protective reflex. "I don't want details," she said quickly, hands up. "Please don't. I can't hear. Are you sure?" "Yes." "How long?" "Long enough," I said. "I have texts. I have times. I don't need to know anything I can't unhear." Tears collected in the corners of her eyes and stayed there, stubborn. "She told me you've been distant since Grandma passed. That you won't talk." "Both things can be true," I said. "I was grieving. Your mother chose someone else. Those truths don't cancel." She wiped her cheek with the heel of her hand. "Are you divorcing?" "I don't speak that word tonight," I said. "Tonight I speak 2 words, clear boundaries." Pattern interrupt as she looked down at the plant like it might offer instructions. "Where is she now?" she asked. "On her way to her sister's," I said. "That's the plan." She nodded slowly, then frowned at her phone. "She told me she needs to grab a few things. She asked if she could come by." I swallowed. "She can come. She won't sleep here." "That's not cruelty. That's care, for me." My daughter leaned against the counter and stared at the calendar pinned to the corkboard, post-its, birthdays, a dentist appointment scrawled in my handwriting. "I hate this," she whispered. "I know." I wanted to hug her and to not make promises I couldn't keep. I settled on the truth. "Tomorrow at 9, we tell your brother together. We'll keep it simple. No blame language. Just facts." She nodded, then surprised me. Do you have a plan for your money? I blinked. That's exactly the right question. I walked to the kitchen table where my notebook sat open like a manual. I showed her the list: freeze card, review charges, protect savings, change online passwords, redirect any autopay she didn't need to touch. She steadied her breath like a diver. Are there more charges like tonight? I scrolled my bank app, and there it was, the second motel, 2 weeks ago, and a small transfer out and back that didn't smell like any bill we pay. I'm on it, I said. I froze her card. I'll secure the rest tonight. A car door shut in the driveway. We both looked at the window at the same time. Headlights arced across the curtains and disappeared. My daughter put a palm on the table, bracing. Do I stay? She asked. Yes, I said. You don't have to talk. Just be here. The lock turned. The door opened. Elaine stepped in with a canvas tote and that long cardigan. She looked years older than she had under the motel light, washed out, ashamed, keyed up. Her eyes went straight to our daughter and softened. Sweetheart, she began. Mom, my daughter said, voice even, Dad already told me the basic truth. Don't spin me. Elaine's chin trembled. I won't. You told me he was overreacting, my daughter said. He showed me a fraction of what he could have shown me. Elaine's shoulders slumped. I panicked. You lied, my daughter replied, calm as a level beam. Don't do it again. Not to me. Elaine put a hand over her mouth and nodded. Then she faced me. Can I get my overnight bag and a few clothes? Yes, I said. From the guest room closet. Not from our bedroom. She nodded, flinching. Okay. While she disappeared down the hall, my daughter leaned closer. What about her job? She whispered. Is he her boss? Yes, I said. Adjacent authority at least. Enough to make HR care. You going to tell them? She said, not a question. I'm going to report policy violations anonymously, I answered. Consensual relationship or not, manager-subordinate and expense games are off limits. That's not revenge. That's accountability. Feels like both, she whispered. Sometimes justice and consequence look alike from far away, I said. Up close is where the difference lives. Elaine returned with a small roller bag. She paused by the kitchen lamp, taking in the calendar, the notes, the grocery list with her handwriting on it from last week, almonds, oat milk, paper towels. Home is cruel in its own way. It keeps all your selves on display. I'll sleep at Laurel's, she said. I'll be back at 8:30 for the call with the kids? 9, I corrected. We start at 9 sharp. Before that, I'll be busy. Her eyes flicked to the notebook. What are you going to do? I'm making phone calls, I said. And sending a documented timeline to your organization's ethics line. Screenshots. Financial notes. Dates. Times. No commentary. Her breath caught. Graham, that will, you'll and me. You chose the match, I said. I'm removing the curtains. She gripped her roller handle tighter. Can I at least respond? To them? I said. You'll have your turn. To our kids? Tomorrow, you'll speak first. You'll own your choices. Then I'll outline my boundaries. Somewhere in the neighborhood, a dog barked, indignant at something only he could see. Elaine looked at our daughter. I'm sorry, she said, voice ragged. I'm sorry I broke our family's trust. You broke yours and Dad's vow, my daughter said, tears finally falling. But you didn't break us. We get to decide that. Elaine nodded. A small, helpless sound left her throat. She reached toward our daughter, stopped, let her hand drop. "I'll go." She pulled the door open, then paused. "Are you going to tell him's wife?" she asked, barely audible. "Does he have one?" I asked, a cold calm settling over me. She hesitated. "Separated," she said. "I think. I don't know. He doesn't talk about home." "Imagine that," I said, not unkindly. "If there's a spouse, she deserves facts. I'll verify before I do anything." Elaine nodded, eyes closing briefly like she'd been spared and condemned in the same breath. Then she left. The door clicked. The house exhaled. My daughter let out a sound halfway between a sob and a laugh, the human noise grief makes when it trips over love. "I'm here," I said. "I know," she replied. "I'm staying on the couch." "Take the guest room," I said. "No," she said. "You take the bed. I'm on watch." I didn't argue. Some positions are earned in a night. I made 2 calls. One to the bank to double-check the freeze and flags. One to the cell provider to separate accounts, 2-factor on my line only, reset on shared cloud services. Quiet moves. Not loud. Effective. I opened my email and created an alias that wasn't my name. I drafted to 3 destinations at once, the organization's ethics line, the general HR inbox, and the board's general counsel email listed on a public flyer from a past fundraiser. Subject lines matter. I chose neutral. Subject, manager-subordinate relationship and expense anomalies, documentation attached. I attached photos of the motel door and lot with timestamps. Screenshots of chat previews, no explicit content, just implications and timestamps. Redacted bank alerts showing lodging charges and retreat deposit to be reimbursed by a department led by the affair partner. A brief timeline, months, not diary entries. Neutral verbs. Observed. Received. Confirmed. No adjectives. No rage. Just bricks. Curiosity loop, would they act? Would they bury it? Would this backfire? I set the emails to schedule send for tomorrow 9:05 a.m., 5 minutes after our family call started. I wanted to speak to my kids before her office did. Then something tiny changed everything. The unknown number, the one that had warned Elaine to run, texted again. "You don't want to do this. She'll lose everything. Please reconsider." I stared at the screen. The phrasing was wrong for a friend. It read like someone protecting the organization. Not Elaine. The brand of fear said, "This will be messy for us." There was no signature. Cowardice rarely signs letters. I typed back, "Stop contacting my family. Save your pleas for HR." 3 dots. Then nothing. I blocked the number and wrote it down anyway. The front door opened again. My son stepped in this time, tall, shoulders still in delivery driver shape from his years hauling furniture, hair damp from rain that wasn't falling. He clocked my face first, then my daughter's, then the suitcase that wasn't in the hall. "What did I miss?" he asked, voice too light. "Plenty," my daughter said. "Sit," I told him. "We are not debriefing tonight. At 9 we do it together. Right now we breathe." He stared at me like I'd moved the furniture in his childhood brain. "You calm." "I'm choosing later," I said. "Tonight is for decisions." He nodded slowly, sank into a chair, and tugged at a loose thread on his sleeve. "Want me to change the Wi-Fi password?" he asked after a moment. I almost smiled. Already on the list. We made tea. We sat like a tiny council, not plotting destruction but refusing to be destroyed. My daughter scrolled flights to see if her brother's partner could join on video. My son checked in on his group chat and typed nothing. At 11:07 p.m., a car crawled past the house and kept going. At 11:22, my daughter claimed the couch with a blanket and a glare that dared the night to misbehave. At 11:33, my son dozed upright, chin to chest. At midnight, I walked through each room, turned off lights, and let the quiet settle like snow. I thought I knew the worst. I didn't. At 12:18 a.m., a new email hit my alias inbox from a name I didn't recognize but a domain I did, the Wellness Network. 2 sentences. We received a third-party report earlier this evening related to a potential policy breach. If you are the reporting party, please confirm receipt. We take these concerns seriously. Earlier this evening. Not mine. Someone else had beaten me to the punch. Or matched my speed. The web around us wasn't just gossip. It was official. Who? The stranger who called me outside the motel? The admin who texted Elaine? Another co-worker tired of covering? Or Martin's almost ex? The stakes changed. This wasn't only my story anymore. It was a workplace problem with a fuse already lit. I typed back from the alias, I will be sending documentation at 9:05 a.m. Please confirm the correct channel for attachments. A reply pinged in under a minute with a secure upload link and a case number. A number turns a mess into a system. I wrote it in my notebook, underlined twice. I set my alarm for 7:30. I slid the notebook under the coffee table. I washed 2 mugs we hadn't used and put them back wet, because my brain needed to do a normal thing with an unfinished end. Before bed, I stood in the doorway of the empty primary bedroom. The bed was made. The window cracked open an inch the way I like. The small picture of our kids on the dresser looked caught between decades. I didn't sleep. I rested with my eyes closed and counted breaths. When the alarm vibrated at 7:30, I didn't feel rested, but I felt ready. I brewed coffee. I texted the family thread, at 9 sharp. Cameras on. Facts only. At 8:40, my phone lit with a message from Elaine, I'm here. Parked outside. Can I come in for the call? I typed, yes. Guest room only until we start. Boundaries hold. At 8:52, she walked in. She looked like a person who'd been watching Dawn set her mistakes in concrete. My daughter nodded at her without smiling. My son stood up and offered a chair. We sat in a line like 3 points on a strong beam. At 8:59, I opened my laptop, pulled up the video app, and pasted the meeting link in the thread. My heart was a steady knock, not a drum. The clock ticked to 9 o'clock and the screen filled with faces I loved and hadn't prepared to see in this kind of arrangement. Okay, I said. We are starting. Elaine glanced at me. I gave a small nod. She took a breath. And at 9:05, 5 minutes into the hardest conversation of our family's life, 3 scheduled emails lifted off my outbox like quiet rockets aimed not at revenge, but at accountability that would feel like it. I watched the little paper plane icon slide to sent. Then my phone buzzed with a new call, labeled unknown, corporate. I didn't pick up. Not yet. Our faces filled the screen. 4 boxes, 4 versions of the same family. I kept my hands flat on the table so they wouldn't try to do the talking for me. Mom, my son said, jaw set. Dad said you wanted to go first. Elaine nodded, eyes rimmed pink. I did something that broke our home, she said, voice thin but steady. I started a relationship with a coworker. It was secret. It was wrong. I told myself I was lonely. That your dad was far away after the funeral. I let that excuse carry me into worse decisions, hiding, lying, spending. I'm not going to offer details. I'm just going to say I am sorry. and I understand there are consequences. Silence fell like a soft blanket that still managed to smother. My daughter swallowed. Are you ending it? Yes, Elaine said. As of last night. My son leaned forward, elbows on knees. What does consequences mean? For you. For us. It means, I said, meeting them both, we are separating. Your mother won't be living here. We will be respectful. We will be honest. We won't make you pick sides. But the rules change today. Elaine stared at her hands. I'll move in with Aunt Laurel for now. And financially, I added, our accounts are separating. Household card is closed. I've secured savings and auto-pays. If there are reimbursements tied to her work, they won't flow through our joint funds. My daughter nodded, absorbing, sorting. Do you want us to do anything tonight? Just keep being our kids, I said. Ask questions when you have them. Don't carry what isn't yours. Then I did what I'd promised myself, and no speeches, just facts. I summarized the timeline in clean strokes, cloud chat previews, motel photos, the bank alerts. No dramatics. No fishing. Just a line drawn and labeled. My son's face hardened at the words lodging charges. He tugged the thread on his sleeve again until it snapped. That's theft, he said flatly. It's poor boundaries and worse judgment, I replied. The bank has the charges flagged. We are handling it. A notification flared in the corner of my screen, email sent. 5 minutes had passed. The rockets were already airborne. Elaine saw me glance and closed her eyes. You reported us, she said, almost to herself. I reported violations, I said. Relationship with a power imbalance. Expenses that smell wrong. It's not revenge. It's accountability. Feels like a wrecking ball, she whispered. Then step aside, I said. The wall isn't mine. We stayed on the call for 20 more minutes. We said we loved each other in the careful way of people who know love can't fix what truth has to do first. We agreed on logistics, days to pick up more of her things, when to loop in extended family, what not to say on social media. We ended with the simplest sentence we still believed. We are a family, I said. That part remains. When the screen went dark, the house thudded back into place around us. My daughter blew out a breath she'd been holding for a week. My son stood and paced the length of the kitchen, then stopped. What do you need from us today? He asked. Take your sister to lunch, I said. Come back at 4. We'll figure out the bedroom situation and locks and, I stopped. Actually, I've got the locks. Go eat. They left together, shoulder to shoulder, a picture of two people deciding not to break. The phone labeled unknown, corporate, rang again. I answered. Mr., the caller used my last name with practiced neutrality. This is the compliance office for the Wellness Network. We received materials this morning. We are opening a formal investigation. Do we have your permission to retain the attachments and contact you for follow-up? You do, I said. You also have a manager-subordinate relationship and expense anomalies. I won't be part of your internal politics. I'll be part of your record. The voice stayed warm, careful. Understood. As of now, both involved employees are being placed on administrative leave pending review. We'll issue litigation holds on their work devices. If you receive further contact from co-workers about this matter, please forward it to us. I thought of the unknown number that had warned Elaine to flee. One already tried to steer me. You'll get that. Thank you, the voice said. A case manager will be in touch. The call ended. I held the phone a second longer, listening to the absence like it could tell me what came next. By noon, the ethics inbox sent a reference code. HR followed with a note that was almost kind: please refrain from direct contact with any employees regarding the matter. I replied with the time-stamped warning texts and the number, blocked and documented. 10 minutes later, a terse message arrived: thank you. We will address the contact internally. I ate 2 bites of toast. It tasted like cardboard and good decisions. At 1:16 p.m., my email chimed again, this time from a generic admin notice address at their organization: effective immediately, M. Redacted, is placed on unpaid leave pending investigation. E. Redacted, placed on paid leave due to reporting structure. All expense reimbursements are suspended until audit completion. I read it twice. The air felt clearer. Not lighter, just accurate. I was not done. I called a law office a neighbor once recommended after his own divorce. Consultation only, I said. The assistant was brisk and kind. Tomorrow at 10, she offered. Bring timelines and financials. We'll talk about options. Later, an email from the bank: a chargeback initiated for 2 lodging transactions. Another: a new external transfer blocked pending verification. The system had turned its dials toward me because I'd asked it to, calmly and early. At 3, a message from an address I didn't know: MS wife, I won't write her name, it doesn't belong to me. The subject line: I think you're the husband. The body: I found your alias through a mutual contact who thought we should talk. I'm not separated, despite what you may have been told. I've suspected for months. If you're willing, I'd like to compare notes. I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to stop being lied to. I stared at it for a minute. Then I wrote back: I'm sorry you're in this. I'll share dates, times, or receipts, and will redact anything you don't need. We can protect each other's privacy while we refuse to be fooled. We exchanged 2 short emails, factual, sterile. 2 adults building a bridge out of burnt planks. She didn't want photos. She wanted dates. I sent dates. She replied with screen grabs of shared calendar blocks I'd never see: team resilience, mentoring session, site check, assigned by the same person who had stood barefoot behind a motel door. She told me she'd speak to her own lawyer. She thanked me for being decent in the middle of a mess. At 4, the kids came back with grocery bags and stubborn faces. We replaced the smart lock with a mechanical deadbolt because batteries die and I was tired of depending on things I couldn't see. I moved my clothes to the smaller dresser and left the big one empty. Space is also a sentence. At 6, Elaine texted a photo of a small guest room at her sister's, neutral bedding, a window onto a driveway. I'm here, she wrote. I'll respect your boundary. I'll be at HR at 8 tomorrow. I typed back: bring your work devices. Tell them everything you spent on the card. Then call our daughter and ask how she's doing. I will, she replied. Thank you for not turning the kids against me. You did that work yourself, I wrote, then deleted it. I settled on: they love you. Don't make them carry you. The night stretched out like a long hallway. I walked it anyway. I put every recurring bill in my name or hers, no more hours in places it didn't belong. I changed the cloud password and turned off cross-device syncing because I didn't want to learn about my life from a preview again. I moved wedding photos into a box and slid it under the bed like you do with breakable things when company's coming. 2 days later, HR called. We've completed preliminary interviews, a new voice said. We'd like to inform you, since you're listed as the reporting party, that the manager has been terminated for cause, Policy 4.2 and 7.3, a supervisor-subordinate relationship and misuse of funds. Ms. Redacted, has been demoted, pay reduced, and reassigned pending completion of a counseling program. The interfering coworker has been formally reprimanded and removed from any role in case management. We will continue the audit. Noted, I said. I didn't cheer. Relief doesn't throw confetti. It opens a window. That afternoon, Elaine asked to meet in a neutral place, the little park with the wooden bridge over a creek that pretends to be a river. We sat 6 boards apart, the kind of distance you measure in a photo with a ruler. I lost my title, she said without preamble. They offered me a lower role or a resignation with a neutral reference if I complete a course and pay back the reimbursements. What did you choose? I asked. I chose to pay, she said. And to stay. For now. She looked past me at the water that didn't move much. I'm also calling a counselor. For myself. I nodded once. Good. She swallowed. Are you going to file? Yes, I said. I met with a lawyer. We'll do a separation agreement now with a clear plan. No games. No back doors. I paused. I want the house. You can take your car and your retirement portions as the law says. I'm not here to bleed you. I'm here to stop the bleeding. She cried then, quiet, contained. She didn't reach for me. I didn't reach back. We sat like 2 people who had finally stopped rubbing a raw place and were letting air do what air does. Do you hate me? She asked. No, I said. I hate what you did. Those are different muscles. I want you to forgive me, she said, wiping her face with her sleeve. Not today. Someday. I might, I said. But forgiveness doesn't change the math. We stood. We didn't hug. We walked in opposite directions because that's what the bridge was built for. Weeks stacked. HR finished their audit. A polite letter confirmed what we already knew, and the expense trail was a series of tiny dishonesties that added up to a big one. The terminated manager, Martin, sent me a single email through his personal account. I hope you feel good about this. I archived it without replying. Good and right are cousins who don't always speak. I had chosen right. The separation papers came, and we signed them in a room that smelled like fresh toner and tired carpet. We moved accounts like chess pieces until the board looked honest. The kids handled themselves like adults and still called me more than usual. On Thursdays I sat with a counselor at the municipal clinic and learned how grief and anger share a hallway. I learned how to say no without auditioning for applause. Neighbors asked quiet questions on porches, and I gave quiet answers. It didn't work. We are being civil. Thanks for asking. Riverside Meadows kept mowing its lawns and waving at trash trucks, unbothered by our storm. On a Saturday morning, I drove past the motel row on purpose. The vacancy signs buzzed like always. The soda machine still sounded tired. I didn't feel triggered. I felt informed. It was just a place where someone else's choices made a noise I finally heard. People ask if I'm angry that she wasn't fired too. My answer is simple: consequences don't need to be equal to be fair. She lost her standing. She pays back what she took. She wears the story now, and it's heavier than a title. My boundary holds either way. I haven't taken off my ring yet. The groove under it has started to even out. Skin remembers and then it doesn't. I don't know what I'll do with it when the divorce finalizes. Maybe I'll set it in a drawer with my father's old pocket knife and my mother's recipe cards, objects that cut and comfort. Last week, I fixed a neighbor's sagging fence for free because I needed to build something that stayed up. When I finished, the late sun warmed my shoulders and the wood smelled like clean decisions. A woman at the corner bakery handed me an extra cinnamon roll by mistake, and we both pretended it was an error. I'm not ready for someone new. I am ready for mornings that don't check my pulse against a phone notification. Here's what I learned, written plain for anyone who needs it. Proof before confrontation. Not for court. For sanity. Memory bends to survival. Documents don't. Boundaries aren't punishments. They are walls that hold a roof up. Hold them even when someone calls you cruel for using a door. Money tells the truth. Freeze the card. Audit the outflows. Protect future you before you comfort present anyone. You can feel two things at once: grief and love, anger and mercy. They are not contradictions. They are a chorus. Don't outsource your loneliness to an affair, to work, to silence. Sit with it. Name it. Then make a plan that doesn't wreck you. Choose later over now. Tonight wants fireworks. Tomorrow wants a foundation. Build for the day after. The revenge, if you need that word, was simple. I turned on the lights. I stopped letting shadows rearrange my furniture. Careers fell where they were supposed to fall. Money went back into the right buckets. I didn't raise my voice. I raised the standard. I thought I knew the worst. I didn't. The worst wasn't the motel or the messages or the mint gum. The worst was believing I had to live quietly beside a loud lie. I don't anymore. And that's the ending that sticks. Not a slam. A click. A lock turning because the house belongs to the person who respects it. The rest of my life is on the other side of that door.